All right, this is Pookie's Revenge. We're live. We're doing some earnings on dead bank stocks. So we're just basically just going to keep an eye on these and see if any of these start to get some after hours activity. But for right now, we're just kind of going flat, and they're relatively low volume here. We got JB Hunt and we got FNB Corporation. Those are probably my two top picks out of these. I also have Banner, BANR, but I'm not expecting a whole lot of action, but if we get a runner, we're going to catch it. So we'll see where it goes. So the reason, just in case anyone is interested, I'm just going to pull this up here, but I'll keep it relatively small so we can still keep an eye on these. I'll go ahead and pull up JB Hunt here. And they've had quite a few catalysts in the past quarter. So they amended their articles back in October, so that's more than a quarter ago. I guess that still counts. But this is typically not a good thing when you see companies do this. But, they had earnings back in October. They got earnings coming up right now, and they've had a couple internal changes as well. So just some things that I like to keep an eye on here. I'm actually going to click on this 8K just so we can look at it a little more in depth, and then we'll just see if any of these start to move. But my eyeballs are going to be focused mostly on JB Hunt. All right, so they increased the size of their board, which is pretty interesting. 10 is a pretty decent sized board for a company like this. They're just a hauling shipping company. Like they do moving trucks. It's not like a Fortune 500. So the market tends to react a little bit oddly to certain catalysts. So this one, we did see quite a bit of investment activity, but not so much the speculative side. So that's why I'm expecting the speculation to catch up with that. If we can get that based on what the whales are doing. So that, and then they also have this proposal for the sale here. So private sales all over the place. Nothing really to worry about. We got to see some volume and some appreciation on these guys. So that's all I want to look at. We also have PPG up here, but wow, it looks like that one sold off pretty good. Now this looks pretty drastic, but it's not really. This is about 70 cents worth of price action. I'm just zoomed in really far, so it looks like a lot more. 70 cents on $143 stock now. So it might look huge, but it's not, which I'm not making any more comments about that. All right. If anyone has any questions, obviously you guys can ask in the chat. BANR is off to a little bit of a rocky start down here. Now this is kind of Morse code here on the 1 minute time frame, so this isn't something that we can expect a whole lot of volume on, but obviously we kick it up to the 15 or 30 minute, and we can see that this move isn't necessarily abnormal just yet. We got a couple big moves over here, so this isn't catalyst volume. This is just kind of blah volume. Now this is greater than 5%, which should trigger a lot of people's scanners. So we'll see if there's any post after hours scanners on these. This candle here or the one on Banner? This one's going to get quite a bit of violence, I think. JB Hunt is my dark horse right now. So what I will do, I'll probably kick this to the 15 minute, and I'll kick this down to the 2 just so we can kind of see if there's any kind of internal violence here. But Banner is just it's an abnormal fill. It just got as a spread fill, I think. The volume is super low on it. There was quite a bit of volume right here though into close, so that's interesting. But look at that wick. That's insane. So that is it's almost a $10. It's like a almost $10 range right there that it just filled on. Now I'm assuming a large part of that is due to the bid-ask spread from low volume. Right now it's a $3 spread, but just the fact that it moved 5% or more should trigger people's scanners after hours. So we'll just have to wait and see. McB is also getting kind of a wide fill here. You can see that's an $11 spread. So these are not the cream of the crop, as we can tell. So this time we're mostly just looking for some volume. If we don't get the volume, we won't get any good opportunities. So it's good just to keep an eye on them, keep them on the radar. INDB, OCFC, and OZK have not moved. PPG moved a little bit and then popped back. So again, that's just a spread thing. It's a $3 spread right there. But I'm interested to see where JB Hunt goes because I think that's going to get some volume. If anyone has any questions or anything like that, feel free to throw it in the chat. I know we got YouTube, Twitch, and X right now. Oh, there we go. Sorry, my button was weird. McB finally went a little bit red. So again, it's an abnormal fill down here. We got over $1. I'm sorry, just 97 cents. 97-cent spread on that one. So we moved just about as far. Moved about $2 on this one so far. So somebody got a good fill down here. All right, so it looks like the majority of these are turning red. If anyone joined late, these are all the stocks that have earnings today. So we're just looking to see if any of them are going to get any good volume. So if I pull up the earnings calendar here, over here, you guys can see Thursday we got PPG, JB Hunt, OZK, FNB, BANR, OCFC for Ocean First, INDB, and MCB. Those are all the after close earnings reporting companies for today. And all but 2 of them are currently red. So we'll just see if the finance goes with the market for right now, or if any of these are going to get some volatility. Probably not the highest hopes on these. All right, just going to pull up JBH. And you can see that this is green with Stocks Buddy. The candle color is green. If I turn that off, you'll see that it's a red candle. The reason that happens is because it's still above the threshold here. So it allows for some volatility. That way you don't get stopped out or faked out as much. Now, in order to justify a trade in these, we should look for a bull signal here, a bull filter, which in this case, it's in a bullish state because of this guy, right? Whoops. So if I look right here, from here all the way over is in a bullish state. So the idea is that then we'd look here on the lower time frame for bullish signals for entry. But right now, we just got to use our common sense and say there's no volume on this. So no volume, no trade. OZK also, it's in a bullish state. And we're going to look for bullish signals for potential opportunities. This is an abnormal fill. It's not a huge volume surge, so there's no reason to try to trade that one. And this is the 2-minute chart. So the entire trading day is summed up, right here. That was the whole trading day from there to there. So relatively flat for the day. Nothing we can really use there. BANR filled down here. So nothing we can really do with this one just yet. PPG is starting to get some volume, but it's not enough, right? It's just abnormal fills, and we've got this $3.80 spread. So not a whole lot going on there. So this might just be a pretty flat earnings session, which is okay. That happens. In the meantime, let me just kick this over here, make sure I don't miss anyone's comments. Yeah, in the meantime, we can just Google these companies and see if they have anything out that we need to know about. All right, so this one right here, for example, PPG non-GAAP EPS 153, beat by 3 cents, revenue of 4.35, beat by 80 million. So that's pretty decent. I mean, 80 million compared to 4.35 billion, not huge, but it's still significant enough. So they beat. This may just be one where we have to wait for some sort of forward guidance outlook. Okay, here we go. It's not bad. Share repurchase of 100 million. Yeah, so I mean, this company isn't terrible. Like they're making good money. They're buying shares back. They've got decent expectations. They're just not getting the appreciation from the market. So this is a good one to keep an eye on, just for when it gets a tighter spread, because we don't want to try to trade this with a $2 spread. That's how you get stuff like this. JB Hunt, it's pushing up a little bit, but again, it's 2%. It only looks like a lot because I'm zoomed in really far. It's really not that aggressive. So this one has a little more volume. So if we look at these volumes, it's a little bit higher relative to PPG. You can see PPG has like a couple hundred shares, maybe 1,000. For its float, it's lower than the float on JB Hunt compared to its volume. So this is the one, again, I think that most people are going to be waiting for out of these 8 stocks. So, but it's also a $200 stock, so not everyone's going to be throwing money at it until it gets some sort of confidence. Just going to look at FNB real quick. Now this one had good volume into close, and then it just nothing. So I think a lot of these finance companies tend to behave the same when it comes to these earnings announcements. So I'm just going to keep an eye on JB Hunt in case that one pushes. It really just depends. Like I said, these things need volume. I can turn the volume on here if that's easier. We get a little bit of a closer look on them. So you can see right now PPG and JB Hunt have good volume. So does OZK and FNB. But JB Hunt was the only one that broke that 5% range. So we'll see if this one gets the volume and takes it. The rest of these guys, they're all less than 250,000 volume. So it's not that great. Okay, so again, we're over 4% here. Let's see if it gets to 5 again. A lot of momentum traders tend to look for 2 to 4% gaps. So we don't really have that here. Let's look at the 1 minute just in case. Yeah, the only gap we have here is on low volume. So nothing really significant we can do there. And a lot of people might look at this and say, oh, why didn't you grab this whole candle? This candle isn't much. It's 4% also. And we just don't have a clean signal yet. This is just kind of price releasing to the upside. There's nothing really pushing it just yet. The volume's a little higher, which is good, but we really, really, really want to see some violence. So I'm okay if this pushes up like, 8% or something, because then it might fall off 20% tomorrow. So don't want to chase anything. Also, let me make sure I'm not muted on the recording, because then I just move my mouse around and look like a lunatic. I do that quite a bit. Okay, so far all these are red except for JB Hunt. So we'll see if that one can sustain, and then maybe the volume will corral into that if it gets any. Otherwise, these could all just start falling off again. There's really just not enough volume on any of these to justify looking too hard. FNB's got 2.25 million, so this is my second candidate here. So from a valuation standpoint, or from a speculation opportunity standpoint, PPG and JB Hunt are my top 2. From it looks like an activity point, Ozark and FNB are probably going to be the next 2 candidates, and then these 4 are just trash. So not even looking at those just yet. I'm interested to see this one though, because I think a lot of people are going to be watching this one. And if I kick up the time frames here, you can see that we're kind of in the middle, right? We got these gaps here, gap there. We got a nice clean level here that we can break. Let me just draw the lines out. We got a level there, and we got the top of a range there, which is also a support over here. And then we got kind of this into a breakout. So if we can get above maybe 200, I think we'll be pretty good and stay there. I mean, let me kick that to the 4 hour so we can see the extended. So we just got to clear the shakeout right here. And I think once we do that, we'll have a pretty clear runway. It's hard to say. Yeah. I just don't think anyone's going to want to commit up into this level here at, what's that, like 208. somewhere around there. Got too many clunky things on the yeah, 208.80 up to 209. Nobody wants to commit up into that because that's a double top. So good, strong resistance and shake out there. Basically, everyone who bought at the top and hasn't sold yet is going to be hanging out here looking to break even. And this is a pretty big volume spike here, as well as here. Not this one, but this volume spike right here, this little guy. So we don't want to compete with people's fears. That's how we lose. So we'll see. And this is something we can calculate, right? We can tell exactly what the percentage needs to be at based on where the stock, where it closed at. So let me see here. So from here, let me just collapse this a little bit. Yeah, so from here up to here. So after hours, it needs to get above 5.95, above 6%. So if we can break 6% after hours on JB Hunt, I think we should have our breakout opportunity. So let me kick this back down to the 15-minute and the 2-minute. Again, if anyone joined later, we're looking for a filter on the higher time frame, the 15-minute, and then we can use the lower time frame for signals for actual specific entries. But we got to break out of this zone before we can go anywhere. Hey, what's up, Bull? I see you on the YouTube. Thanks for hanging out. This is probably going to be one of the most boring earnings streams, unless we can get some volume on these. No volume, no trade. We can also look at some of these for bearish opportunities too, if we're interested in that. This is just abnormal fill because of a wide spread. It's not an impulse to the downside. Somebody gets filled at 49.50, for example, the price will shoot right up here. So it's not something we can use for any sense of goodness. PBG volume is just falling off, so there's nothing we can do with that one just yet. So it may just fall to FNB and JB Hunt. They're the two with the best potential overall. FNB because of the volume, and JB Hunt because of the price action and volume. So let me move these to the top. And then we'll replace, we'll put PPG third because that one also has potential. And then OZK and the rest of the loser kids can hang out down here. All right, so let me Google the next one. Just see what these earnings were. Okay. All right, so they reported. Let's see what they got. All right, so they lost. So they didn't beat revenue. They didn't beat operating income. They didn't beat EPS. So it's probably where we're not seeing them push. Full year down, down, down. Okay. Interesting. Okay. It's not terrible. I mean, all things considered. This part I'm a little concerned with. This is the operating income. But, you know, given the industry and stuff, I don't think it's too terrible. All right. So maybe that one doesn't get the push. Right. All right. So we can start to map these things out, right? Like the first obvious obstacle here is that that double top, right? We don't want to, we can reasonably assume that the larger investors are not going to want to invest until that's broken, which leaves just speculation. So speculators are going to want to see the volume step in, and the volume isn't going to step in until the other side steps in. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 there. But that is okay. So, you know, it's an if then. It's not a win or any kind of guarantee. So we'll just wait and see. Next up, I'm going to look at FNB. FNB stock news. So all I'm doing is I'm just going to Google and I'm typing the ticker in quotes. You could just go straight to the Yahoo Finance one. I just like to scroll down the list and see if there's any headlines. Okay, so these guys, they declared, when was this? 6 days ago. So they declared redemption and cash dividend of non-cumulative perpetual preferred stock Series E. It's not anything I trade, so I'm not worried about it. But the word dividend caught my eye. Okay, so it doesn't look like they've reported yet, or at least not on Yahoo Finance. And I'm just going to check back every now and then just to make sure things aren't blasting on me. All right, so let's see what else we got. We've got OZK. We like that one a little bit. It just needs volume. All right. 22 minutes ago, announces record fourth. Oh, that's a good, potentially good stuff. All right, let's see what they got. All right, let's see if we got that. Okay. That's all for beneficial filings. I'm not looking to file a 13G here. Where is their announcement? See if they have it up here. What date is this guy? This is, what's the date? September 30th. Yeah, we don't care about that. All right, I already don't like this. There we go. All right, announced net income, 7.7% increase, so that's good. So they net income increased. Diluted EPS increased, so they beat on that. This paragraph just copies. Oh, it's for a full year, sorry. So fourth quarter, full year. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty strong earnings. PPNR increase, good. 28.3% increase for the full year of 2022. Holy crap. It's a pretty powerful company as far as money. All right, let's just keep scrolling here. Okay, we believe that is a reasonable goal, so that's good. They're managing their expectations. Our goal for 2024 is to continue to improve our record annual net income and diluted earnings per common share achieved in 2023. Challenging macroeconomic environment. Okay, so they feel like they're well positioned for the year, and we look forward to capitalizing on new opportunities. So that's pretty good. That's a nice, confident response for a press release, right? We still got to wait for the market to appreciate that and then to trust it, because it might just be a load of caca. Okay. All right. And that's just more about the text. We don't really care too much about the text. And that was OZK. So this one has potential if it gets the attention, right? So JB Hunt lost. They missed their earnings. FNB is decent. PPG is good. OZK is good. We'll look up Banner really quick, and that'll probably be the last one. And then we'll see if any of them get some attention here. BANR. Let's see what we got. There we go. Ooh, quarterly cash dividend of 48 cents per share. What's their market price? 49. That's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not great. I'm spoiled. Okay. Net income 42.6 million or 124 diluted per share. Okay, so 7% decrease. So they missed on that. 22% decrease. Oh my. All right. Okay. Decrease in net interest income. Okay, so this is a little bit sketchy, right? Like, why are they giving a cash dividend, and what was it previously? So let's go ahead and take a look at that, because if they're increasing their dividend and they're losing money, that's not good. That's interesting. So for the last 10 years, their dividends have gone from 17 cents up to 48 cents. They got a payout ratio to 33.8%. That's insane. Dividend growth 9.9% or 9.09. I'm sorry. So it looks like the dividend growth is decent and it's in alignment with what I expect. Like very few companies have a straight trajectory for their growth, but they have consistently increased dividends over the last 10 years, but they're also not uncomfortable decreasing it. But it doesn't make sense why they would miss on earnings and then increase their dividend. That's typically not something we see. They already have a pretty high payout ratio, so I'm having a little trouble wrapping my brain around why they would maintain or increase their dividend rather than decreasing it when they've missed on net income and stuff by 20+%. So this is one I'm going to avoid. We don't like that one. Let me check the chats here. FA, what's going on, buddy? You have a voice easy on the ears. This round of earnings, yeah, it's we're on the fence about doing this stream at all, but we don't want to disrupt people's schedules and kind of want to give you guys earning streams every week, even if they suck. Because it's more than just looking at the chart. Like we can look at the actual press releases. We can look at other aspects of the companies, even though we can't really act on it, right? So OZK, I'm just going to put that on the radar here. What's the next one here? INDB, not the IMDB that we all know and love for movies. All right, 8K. So anytime you see, if you look at this right here, you see a 2.02. That's an item underneath an 8K filing. That's where the earnings are going to be, and the 9.01 is where the actual publication is. So now I also see that this has a 7.01, which is a regulation fair disclosure, which I don't know why they still have that term, but this is just the company's extra chance to tell you something that you may need to know. So I'm gonna look at that first. Companies furnishing. Okay, so they're just giving out materials and stuff. There's nothing crazy there. They're just pointing down here to 9.01. Let me look at this press release here. So, okay, decrease of 9.9% on net income. Net income. Okay, decrease of 9.2% on diluted EPS. No adjustments were recognized on that. All right. Okay, return on average assets and yeah, they don't need to. This paragraph matters. This one doesn't. This is just them trying to save face and fluff. Don't fall for it. So basically, the only reason I'm still looking at this is just to see if there's been any quotes of anything that might potentially get market attention. And I'm also just checking back here to see if any of the prices moved. Kind of their core fundamentals position as well. No, I'm not, buddy. I think you suck at your job. Okay, yeah. So they increased their loans by 0.4%. Consumer real estate, yeah, that's normal. You're not special. All right, yeah, I'm gonna skip over the rest of all this stuff because none of this stuff really matters if they aren't making money, right? They decreased 9.9 to 9.2%, which is pretty bad for a bank, in my opinion. What's next? McB. So McDonald's. All right. Let's take a look at this guy, and you can see it's got 2.02, 701, and 901. So those are pretty common. What I don't want to see is a 1.03 or a 3.01 in these with a 2.02 because that's not good. That's like a D list. Okay. So the company's made of so same thing. You're going to see this a lot. It's just making presentation materials available. So let's look at the press release. All right. Increase on total deposits. I don't care about that. Give me I don't care about net loans, asset quality. Okay. So they're telling us the good news first. Across. Okay. There we go. So this paragraph is the one that matters. All right. Compared to a net loss of 7.7. All right. Okay. So basically, they reported net income of $14.6 million for the fourth quarter 2023 compared to a net loss of of 7.7 million for the fourth quarter 2022. So the year before they had a net loss. This year they had a net income by twice that amount. So that's pretty good. It's a nice little turnaround. Net income for the year was 77.3 million compared to net income 59.4 million. So they beat on income and revenue. So that's So that's pretty good. But this doesn't have any forward guidance. There's nothing really flashy about it. We already kind of looked at some of this stuff. Let's see what they got on this. Okay, here. And a little trick that we can use when we're looking at 8Ks is just to hit Control F and then just type 2024 or the current year, just to see if there's any upcoming events, because they have to put the dates in them. Shareholder meetings, dividend announcements, any of that good stuff, splits. That way you're not caught off guard. They're hiring a new accounting officer. I don't care. All right, so we can cancel that. JB Hunt is still just kind of chilling. I wonder if it's just going to test this level. So if we look back, right, this is a pretty decent level of intermediary support. Let me just see if I can get over there without messing up the lines. So it was a resistance here, support with a pretty strong rejection there, and then just kind of toggled, held here as a support, bounced, and then broke and held as a resistance before that sell-off. So $200.38 level is pretty decent, but we'll have to wait. And again, with any of these, we just need the volume. So no volume, nothing. Can't do anything about it. Yeah, I know it's, like I said, I know it's boring and these aren't moving, so it's not like action-packed streams, but at least I can take this time while things aren't moving so fast and show you guys kind of what to look at. So two sites that I use for this specifically are going to be stockanalysis.com. That's a good one just for looking up companies. So you can see like JB Hunt here, for example. If I just click the financials, first off, it's got the news and stuff right here, so you can see the earnings right there as soon as they print. If I just look at the financials here, you've got the 3 categories here, and then I don't really use the ratios, but you can if you want. You got income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. On income statement, we can look at things like revenue. And if you hold your mouse over one of these little graphs here, it shows that this company has increasing revenue year over year for the last 10 years. So that's a good sign. That's why it's on my radar. Gross profit is also increasing over time. Operating income is a little inconsistent, but overall it's up. Net income is up over time. Let's see here. Free cash flow is kind of important, but not so much for this industry. Up most years. So that's good. We only had one little $12 million blip in 2014. But that's okay. I don't really care about that too much. And they've got increasing dividend per share, which I personally care about because of their extra riches stuff. EBITDA isn't really significant for this industry, but it's still up there. So that's good. So it's looking strong so far. And, you know, it's a $200 stock, so not everyone's going to be able to play along with that one. And I personally can't do it on my small account either. It's just too pricey for that account. Cash and cash equivalents is up. These big surge here, so maybe we look at some catalysts and see what happened over the last 3 years. And then total current assets, comparing this number to the total current liabilities, it's about 75%, so that's good. It's 1 1/3 basically to the upside. And that's just their scheduled yearly debt. So like paying laborers, paying off obligations, things like that. Short-term liquidatable assets. This down here is their scheduled debt for the year. This is their short-term liquidatable cash. So if they need to close the doors today and they sold all their assets, they would survive, X number of years, if you divide that into that, without having to make any money or lose money, in theory, right? So that's pretty good. So they got about 1 1/3, so 1.3-ish. But overall, the total current assets are up over years. Total current liabilities are also up. It's a little inconsistent, but it's still smaller than the assets. And then you've got the total assets, which is 77.87. Total liabilities, which is just over half of that. So that's pretty good. Assets up over time, liabilities up over time, but still smaller. And then these we don't really care too much about. Shareholder equity is cool, but it's up over time. So overall, this is a really strong company, in my opinion. Now let's check the net income. That's up over time. Operating cash flow, that's pretty important in this industry, but I don't really care too much. Investing cash flow, that is fine. That's actually pretty good for what it is. And then net cash flow, that's a little inconsistent here, but we know that the free cash flow is decent, so we don't really care too much about that. They just haven't grown too much in their free cash flow, so easy enough to understand here. And then, of course, their dividends, consistent growth over time. And then they too are just inconsistent a little bit. So when they need to dip into, their profit margin a little bit, they just take it out on dividends. So not bad. They went from 20 cents up to 42 cents. So they more than doubled it over the last 10 years. Pretty good. It's a lower ratio than the other one. It's 22.61%. Annual dividend of $1.68 per share and a 5% dividend growth. So it's less than the 6% on the other one. Both are quarterly payments. So as a investment, I would consider this more longer term. I wouldn't really just trade this one for the options or for the dividends. I'm sorry. But that doesn't help us today. Today we're looking for insane price movements based on earnings catalysts. So I just don't think we're going to see that on any of these guys. So a lot of times they also do conferences. They do calls and webinars and things like that to review the earnings, but I don't think I saw any of those that were scheduled. Yeah, so with that said, I'm going to probably end this recording here just because we're not getting any action, and I don't want someone to dedicate time to watching this if they can't get specific value out of it. And I don't think we're going to get the speculation side out of it today. So let me